right? Now, what is this objective correlative? See, you can have the official definition in different books. I'm just giving this definition, and you can have it from different books. So Eliot says, I'm just reading the definition which has been given officially by T.S. Eliot, right? He says, the only way of expressing emotion in the form of art is by finding an objective correlative. In other words, it is a set of objects, a situation, a chain of events which shall be the formula of that particular emotion, such that when the external facts which must terminate in sensory experience are given, right, the emotion is immediately evoked. Is that clear? Now, if you try to have a look at this definition, or if you read this definition closely, you'll find that, it is basically a continuation and an application of Eliot's impersonal theory of poetry. Is that clear? So earlier, Eliot gave his impersonal theory of poetry. So now, if you go through this definition of objective correlative, so you will find this concept is basically a continuation and an application of Eliot's impersonal theory of poetry. Right? Now, one thing is very clear that his impersonal theory is based on the idea that it is neither the intensity of the emotion. Listen to me. It is neither the intensity of the emotion nor the greatness of its components that determines the poetic quality of a poem. Right? But what is that? But what matters is the intensity of fusion. So it is the intensity of the fusion and a way in which the poet achieves this intensity. Right? So these are the main things to evoke emotions. Is that clear? So now I think it is clear to you. I hope now you have come to know that objective correlative is simply a continuation of Eliot's, impersonal theory, right? I'm just trying to simplify this definition. That is, objective correlative, right? See, try to understand. The main task of a poet is to express emotions, right? Now the fact is that he cannot express these emotions directly. Why? Because if a poet expresses the emotions directly, these may be somehow, you know, you just can say these may not please some readers, or these may not please some people like you. That's why what a poet does, a poet tries to find out a medium in order to express those feelings and emotions. Is that clear? So, to simplify, you just can say that it is based on the concept that it is not the business of the poet to present his emotions directly, but rather to represent them indirectly through objective correlative. And this becomes the formula for the poet's original emotions. Right. So a poet does not try to reflect or express his emotions directly. Rather, he takes the help of some mediums. What may be the mediums? The mediums may be a chain of events, a chain of situations, or a chain of objects with the help of which the poet evokes some particular emotions. I hope you are getting the point. Right. Now, let us try to have a look at Macbeth also. In relation to Hamlet, I have already clarified how objective correlative is not working in that play properly, and that's why it has been called an artistic failure. And because Shakespeare has not been able to find the proper objective correlative for the feelings of Hamlet, right? Now the best example of objective correlative is the sleepwalking scene in Macbeth. I hope you all are aware of the sleepwalking scene of Lady Macbeth, right? Now try to understand. uh, I hope you have already gone through the play Macbeth. Fine. Lady Macbeth is a sinner along with her husband Macbeth, right? Because they were guilty of the murder of King Duncan. Though the murder was done by Macbeth, but it was done on the behest or on the instigation of Lady Macbeth. Or you just can say that had there been no Lady Macbeth, I think there could have been no, murder. I mean, Macbeth could have never murdered uh, King Duncan. So she was equally guilty, right? Now, crime is always followed by punishment. They both committed crime. So Nemesis started working. It started working on Macbeth, and he became a victim of hallucinations. You remember how sees the ghost of Banquo on his own seat. In fact, there was no ghost. So this was only a kind of hallucination. It means Nemesis was working now, right? And in the case of Lady Macbeth also, you can find that this Nemesis is working, right? Now try to have a look at the sleepwalking scene. What is that? Or what does she do in in her sleep? I hope you remember during her sleep, she gets up from her bed, then she throws her nightgown and she unlocks her closet. Then she takes forth a paper, then she folds it, and then she writes something on it. Then she reads it, and then she seals it, and again, she goes back to her bed. Right. Now, try to understand. This scene has been a chain of different, events. You can take it like a chain of different events or situations. Like number one, she gets up from her bed. Number two, she throws her nightgown. Number three, she unlocks her closet. Number four, she takes forth, a paper. The number five, she folds it. Then on the next number, she writes something on it. Then she reads it. Then she seals it. And again, she goes back to her bed. So this is a chain of events. So all the chains or all these events are indicating towards one fact, and that is that now Lady Macbeth is not a normal personality. Rather she has become an abnormal personality. Means her mind is now guilty and she is realizing it. Means now she is a victim of nemesis. So all these events, they bring out her guilt-ridden mind. Right, so what is objective correlative? It may be a chain of events and situations and objects. It may be a chain of events and situations and objects which give way to one particular emotion. So here, these different activities. So they may form a chain of different events and situations, and they are giving weight to the feeling or the emotion of the guilt-ridden mind of Lady Macbeth. I mean, they are indicating towards the guilty feeling of Lady Macbeth. So this is objective correlative. I think this is the best example of objective correlative in literature, right? And you also remember that after this scene in a conversation with the doctor, she keeps rubbing her hands and she's trying to wash, she's trying to wash the blood from her hands. I mean, at the time of the murder of King Duncan, her hands were also stained with blood. So she feels that still there is blood on her hands. But the problem is that there is no blood on her hands, rather the blood is in her mind. Right? Rather the blood is in her mind. Is that clear? So if you remember, she also says all the perfumes of Arabia will not, sweeten this hand. Right? So this is the best example of, objective correlative. I hope this objective correlative is clear to you. Now try to understand how it is working in, the wasteland. Right? You have not gone through the text of the wasteland, but I'm telling you in very short. See, this wasteland is a document of the 20th century society, right? And it presents the disillusionment of a generation, the modern generation, right? So the dominant emotion of, this poem, it is a feeling of disillusionment caused by the First World War. Right. Now, once again, this feeling or this emotion of disillusionment, it has not been presented directly. But Eliot, presents this disillusionment through a series of objects, situations, and images, which work like objective correlative for the poet's emotions. Again, the same thing that I have already told you. Okay, if a poet has to reflect some feelings or emotions, he cannot reflect them directly. Rather, he prefers some medium. I mean, he does it with the help of some objects and some situations and some events. So Eliot also does the same in this wasteland. As I have already told you, the main idea in the poem is that of disillusionment. So this disillusionment, I mean the feeling or the emotion of disillusionment has not been conveyed directly. Rather, it has been conveyed through a series of objects, situations, and images, and they work like objective correlative for the poet's emotions. Is that clear? Now, this idea of objective correlative. See, uh, it has been defined by some other, people also. So I'm not going into the detail. I'm giving you just one or two ideas. One idea has been given by Alan Austin, Allan Austin, Alan Austin. He says that this objective correlative is a poetic content to be conveyed by, verbal expression, right? And some more things for your kind information. See, Eliot got the inspiration of this objective correlative from the French symbolists also. Why? Because French symbolists feel that emotion can only be evoked. It cannot be expressed directly. So somehow the same idea is working in, objective correlative. Right? French symbolists like both Baudelaire and Mallarmé, they have said that emotion can only be evoked. Right? It cannot be expressed directly. Right? And if you remember, Mallarmé said that poetry is not made of ideas but of words. Getting my point? He said that poetry is not made of ideas but of words, and explored the potentialities of words as modes of evocative evocative suggestions, right? But at the same time, the idea has been criticized by some critics like Vivo Winter, John Crow Ransom, and you know Alisco Vivas. Alisco Vivas. Right. Um, I'm not again going into the detail. I'm just talking about one or two critics. Uh, you know, Alisco Vivas. You know, he says that I mean he criticizes this idea, I mean the idea of objective correlative. When he says that objective correlative, it reduces poetic creation to mere mechanics. So this is a serious blame. So he says that this objective correlative, it reduces poetic creation to mere mechanics, right? And he is of the opinion that emotions and feelings do not wait in the mind like tobacco in a pouch till they can be used, right? Then Vivo Winter. He says that objective correlative is a reversal of the normal processes of understanding human experience and a dangerous reversal. So once again, this is serious blame on this definition, right? Now finally, in the simplest language, once again, I'm trying to explain it. See, objective correlative is basically, when some particular emotion is evoked through a chain of events or situations and objects, right? Say, for example, this is the time of evening, right? It's raining, right? Then you find some people who are moving towards a graveyard, and they all are dressed in, black garments. Then in the background you hear some serious music, right? So combine all the objects. Which are the objects? The evening time, the rain, then the black dress of people, then serious music in the background. So don't you feel that they all give way to one particular emotion, and that is the emotion of sadness or melancholy? Naturally, they are going to the graveyard. Naturally, they are going to witness the burial ceremony of someone. So naturally, they must be very sad. So all these objects, the evening time, the rain, the black dress of all the people, and the sad music in the background. So all, this is a chain of objects, and this chain of objects is giving way to one particular emotion, and that is the emotion of melancholy or sadness. I right.